Hey guys, it's your host again of the chomp Daily. Hope you guys are doing well. I told you guys I was going to be shooting out some more videos here soon, and I plan on doing some more, especially with the Couplemon. But today I want to do more so a reactionary video, something that I don't typically do or will do on this channel, but there will be sometimes where I do. But we have to talk. I mean, there's been a lot of discussion with the Nintendo Switch and just Nintendo itself. To the point where everyone's divided, and I get where some of the hatred's coming from, but I'm going to watch this video. We're going to watch together. It's our buddy Mudahar here. Now, he's not my personal buddy, but I'm a big fan of him, and he is a really good source of just information and just breaking things down. Now, I don't 100% agree with everything he says in this video. I've already watched this, but I want to watch it with you guys, so we can get a consensus. Good lord. Again, do not hate on anyone that's been shown this video, especially him. He is a great guy. I may not fully agree with what he says, but it doesn't mean that I dislike him. But there are things I do agree with him on, and we will go over that too. And I'll stop between the videos and, well, between the video itself and just go over it. But I wanted to show my input versus his input. Again, I don't think he really needs me to be like, oh, go subscribe to him. But obviously, go to his channel, Some Ordinary Gamers, and subscribe to him. Just a great guy from just what I have seen. And even though I'm at an impasse with him here, that doesn't mean I don't respect him any less. So we'll get into his video here, and we'll just stop, like I said, and go through it. So we will start now, just so we can get ahead here.
User license agreement, that again is something we all sign when we play video games, buy a piece of hardware, so on and so forth. So Nintendo introduced a few things into this that I'm not a big fan of, okay? So let's cover the lightest thing here, okay? So one of them is the breach and termination and dispute resolution.
The luck is on today, baby!
You gotta love these ads.
Is the
So dispute resolution is pretty important, okay? To give you an idea about it, what Nintendo has basically said over here is that you are not allowed to do a class action, okay? What you have to do is arbitrate with Nintendo directly on their home turf if you have an issue, okay? Now, obviously, this is not good. Companies absolutely hate class action because class actions, much like the Sony versus the Sony versus the people, where Sony once introduced a feature called Other OS, they removed it. Sony was sued by class action, and ultimately, all the people that came together with their grievances, right, through the law firms that represented them, the law firm that did, they ended up getting a few bucks back. But obviously, Sony lost a fair bit of money just, again, by doing something that was stupid, which was removing features from an actual system. Now, I would say that most companies absolutely hate when people come together to exert some level of legal force on one of these big monolith agencies. So obviously with Nintendo, they're really not a huge fan of that. And you are not allowed to class action anymore, okay? That is not good by Nintendo standards. So if you want to take Nintendo to court, you better be willing to do it.
He's like, fast forward a bit there. So this is one thing I'm going to go over. I do actually agree with what he's saying here. Taking away the ability to legally come after Nintendo over something that's not fair, I think is kind of just shitty. I don't think people encompass what this actually means. Like, people are angry about it, but they don't quite encompass, what it's entailing for us. And I'm not necessarily going to sue Nintendo, but there's something that genuinely is done that, just like, for example, like, let's say that Nintendo pursues a similar route that PlayStation did, and they start taking stuff away from the membership. Now, instead of, doing the class action and, suing Nintendo for just unfairly taking stuff away that you've paid for, you just can't do that. Where with PlayStation, they could. The PlayStation lost money, blah, blah, blah. Sure, the people that sued only got a few bucks back, but it was better than nothing. But, PlayStation suffered most. And the whole point, excuse me, good lord, I apologize, but the whole point of that was just to, just right the wrongs that were made by the company. And because of that, PlayStation eventually improved and brought back features, especially within the PlayStation 4 and forward. You know, now you can't do that. So instead of having these companies hear the people and fix the wrongs that they're doing, Nintendo's saying, well, screw you. Sorry, but not sorry. You know, you're not going to be able just to sue us. And I think that's really shitty. And I think with just how Nintendo itself has a legal loophole, because of it being its own big company, blah, 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 there are certain things that they can't get away with, like if it's actually like real thievery. But they can kind of get away with it. I mean, if you really think about it, like, Nintendo could really... I mean, I don't think that they're going to, but they easily could. I mean, they could just scam you, just take away multiple, features from, like, let's say that they take away, like, the gold coins that you get from the Nintendo shop, meaning you can't get your discounts on your games anymore. You know, a lot of people use those coins for discounts and take prices off of games, and I am one that actually uses it. It ain't that I can't afford the full price of the games, but, you know, you damn well know that if I can get a couple bucks off, I'm going to get a couple bucks off. So I do not agree with this strategy from Nintendo. I think this is kind of abusive, it's kind of iron-fisty, authoritative. So we want to continue here.
That is not good by Nintendo standards. So if you want to take Nintendo to court, you better be willing to do it by yourself with your own money against a company that is probably one of the richest corporations in the realm of video gaming. Okay. Now, of course, the thing that really sort of like drove me out was the ability for Nintendo to add restrictions to their services and their devices. Okay, so we're going to read this through, and we're gonna try to understand what goes on, okay? So according to the license, subject to the terms of agreements, Nintendo grants you a non-exclusive, non-transferable, revocable license to use the Nintendo account services solely for your personal and non-commercial use, okay? So that is like the account you make to download shit from Nintendo to play like games online and do anything on their online service, okay? That's pretty standard, like that's what most online services do. Without limitation, you agree that you may not publish, copy, modify, or reverse engineer, release, rent, decompile, disassemble, distribute, offer for sale, or create derivative works of any product of the Nintendo account services. B. Bypass, modify, decrypt, defeat, tamper with, or otherwise circumvent any of the functions or protections of the Nintendo service accounts through use of any hardware or software that would cause the Nintendo account services to operate other than in accordance with the documentation and intended use, okay? So I guess hacking on their service, modifying a Nintendo Switch with an exploit that possibly could ruin the experience for other people online, I suppose. C. Obtain, install, or use any unauthorized copies of Nintendo account services, or exploit the Nintendo account services in any manner other than use them in accordance with the applicable documentation and intended use. So far, it's all...
So, from face value, it sounds pretty bad, and there's some stuff in there that I think they're going a little bit overboard with. Like, for example, just their overall, like their tampering cause here. And it's like overall, like I don't fully disagree either. Like the past video that I did, I went over this a little bit at the very end. Excuse me, but this is their system. And yes, to an extent, they can do what they want. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they should be taking it away from people that bought it. And I do agree with that, with that ideology. But what I do not agree with is people being angry. They're telling you not to mod or tamper or do any of these things with their console. This is how it's always been. I mean, like they've had these discrepancies for a very long time. Now they're just taking more action to it. But we'll get into it more, but I'll give you my full opinion on all of this at the very, not the very end, but towards the end. We're not going to watch the full video. Again, all credit to Mudahar. I mean, 100% for this video. And he's trying to be within the middle here. But the only thing I do not agree with was when, if you're using it to exploit and cheat to, ruin the experience of other players using the service, then I guess. No, there is no I guess. if you are modifying your game to where you can screw over other players while you're playing against them, especially in like Mario Kart or something, then you need everything. Like, I personally do believe that if you're out here exploiting and cheating to win games, then maybe your console needs to be bricked. Sorry, I had to say it. You know, just be a normal human being and don't hack. I mean, it's really that it's that easy within that sense. You know, if you're explicitly cheating to beat games and to ruin the experience of other people, if you're doing that to just mess with people and just to cause a uproar, then you deserve your console to be destroyed, caught on fire, whatever. Because you are not only hurting yourself, but you're hurting other people around you that want to enjoy the damn game. So at that point, just take it on the chin. But we're going to continue here so I can get into it more, because I got more of a rant involving, you know, people just being upset with this. So we're just going to continue here.
Got to do with the online service, right? Like, which kind of makes sense. In each case, without Nintendo's written consent or express authorization, so Nintendo doesn't need to. Nintendo don't need your consent, okay? They can just walk in and do what they need to.
Oh yeah, I love these commercials. Or my YouTube Premium. Anyways, so may I sit this in here? Nintendo has explicitly said they're not just going to come in and break your shit. They're going to have reason, because there is certain legal clause they have to meet before they just go ahead and do it. Sure, they can get around most of it. In fact, they already are. But they have explicitly come out and said they are not just going to come in and destroy your console whenever they want. Like, you have to actually be reported. Or, you know, you show it off online and someone from Nintendo or someone that knows someone from Nintendo sees it and then tells on you. Or if someone directly goes to Nintendo that works for them and says, hey, we need to handle this. You know, there's 3 options, and all of them are basically a form of reporting and you getting caught. The only way you're not going to have this happen is if you're not caught. The only way this is going to, you know, the only way that this isn't going to happen is if you're not caught. But if you are caught, then it's going to happen. Do not do not have fear. I trust in Nintendo's ability just to be abhorrent about this. So we're just going to continue here. But I just wanted to put that in there because people, you guys got to understand. You may own the console, but that doesn't mean that you can do whatever you absolutely want. Because some of the stuff that you guys want to do is not fair or legal. Now, I'm also talking about within a cheating sense. Like cheating within a video game. Like Mario Kart stuff, like I already mentioned. Or Mario Party, etc. Like doing stuff that's actually ruining the experience for others. So, I'm more so on that side of things. Not just because someone's just questioning Nintendo. That's not my point. My point is just don't do that. So we're going to continue here, going forward here.
Unless otherwise expressly permitted by applicable law, you acknowledge that if you fail to comply with the foregoing restrictions, Nintendo may render the Nintendo account service and or the applicable Nintendo device, the console, permanently unusable in whole or in part. Motherfucker, what is your problem, brother? What is wrong with you? What? All right, we reached to a point. You know, this
crazy.
might be one of the worst console launches that, at least from like a game owner perspective, that I've seen. Okay, first off, okay, the game key card stuff, fine, whatever. You can vote with your wallet and say, I'll just buy the copies of games that are actually completed. You know, I bought a game known as Stalker, like Zone of the... let me actually find it. Stalker, like this Stalker collection on the Switch, and it's all 3 Stalker games, like actually on a game card. Actually, I bought it from a local game store, and they had this Japanese copy in print, and it's an amazing collection. All right, I vote with my wallet. I just buy physical media that actually is respectful. Okay, I don't buy, physical media that is like in part, okay, crippled media, so to speak, right? Like where you put it into the system and it's like, oh my God, here, download this 80 fucking gigabyte game. We could have fit it on the disc, but we just chose not to, okay? Microsoft just did that with that Doom game that's coming out, Dark Ages. Could have fit on the disc, chose not to, okay? Instead, they produced e-waste en masse, and for a company that like loves to jerk off carbon fucking neutrality, I'm so shocked that they love polluting the environment with this actual goddamn e-waste. But you know what? You can vote with your wallet. Whatever. Fine. It is what it is.
And I get to agree with the whole key thing. It's like the e-waste is ridiculous. I mean, like it is really, really ridiculous, man. I mean, that's one thing I will agree on Mutahar here is like you can just bet with your wallet here, just vote for your wallet and go forward with it. I mean, I'm going to buy complete games, but I am a big like online download guy. Just because like if something did happen to my Switch, I know that upon re-downloading, we'll just get my Nintendo Switch, I get a new one, and I get my account back on, I have access to all those games again. And that's what I did with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. But here's my actual view on it. Just the release. I do think that the release. I think the Nintendo Switch 2 release is still going to be great. Like I think people are going to buy it. People are going to buy it just out of spite or just because they really just love Nintendo, like I am. Again, I already pre-ordered mine. Through the ruthless jungle I had to chop through to get to it. But here's what kills me. Okay, I watched another YouTuber. His name is Ahito or Achito. I forget, but I just recently discovered him. And he's a lot like Mutahar, where he reacts and makes videos on just like news and stuff like this. And he made the comment that I did not agree with. But again, go subscribe to him if you guys know who I'm talking about. He's also great. But there's one thing I did not agree with. Is that he said, to all the people out there talking about just don't modify your console, just don't cheat. That is a very big brother mindset. That's just falling in line. But really, how hard is it? I mean, they're telling you not to modify your console, which you can live without it. You do not have to modify your console. And that's what I'm trying to get through here. You can live a happy life without modifying it. You're only modifying it to be different, to either be cool, or to be spiteful. Listen, I'm the first one to be like, oh, you're down with the multi-billion-dollar companies. But they're not necessarily within the wrong completely. I do think they're going overly aggressive. I do not agree with the whole you're not really allowed just to sue them outright if something did happen. I don't agree with that. I do find how all these companies... The thing is, it isn't just Nintendo doing this. It's also like Microsoft and PlayStation where, they're making so much e-waste because they're, not able to, put all the game onto the card. You have to download an extra, like 80 megabytes just to get the rest of the game. That is shitty. I don't agree with that. But my whole focus right now is people angry over the console because they can't modify it. And to Ahito, I'm sorry, but this is why I agree with you. I have to disagree with you, man. It's not falling in line. It's just being respectful. Nintendo is making you the new console so it can better your experience and right the wrongs it's made with the Switch. And providing you with a quality console, at least from what we're seeing. I mean, it could just be like another like Nintendo Switch. There's not much difference, but from the looks of it, it looks like there's a lot of difference, and I'm quite excited for it. But to sit here and tell me that it's a big brother mentality, that we, that all of us say, just don't modify your console, just don't hack, or just just perpetuating this big brother mentality. I can't talk. Sorry. It's just, I'm sorry, but it's kind of childish. And again, no hate to Mutahar, no hate to Ahito, no hate to anybody. Because again, in both their videos, there's a lot of things I agree with them on. The only thing I don't agree with them on is just being angry over not being able to modify it. But I do personally believe if you're caught modifying it illegally, like you're doing illegal modifications that they don't agree with, hacking the games, pirating the games, which that's another thing we'll get into, I do believe that their console should be broken. You can give me a big old slap on the wrist saying, well, Noah, how come, you say this, but we're buying the game? Yes, but you also have to follow certain laws. You have to follow a code that you're using the thing correct. I mean, sure, there's freedom, buyer's freedom, but you can't just do everything with that item. I mean, I made the analysis yesterday about all this, and then I made a analogy of how, like, if you use your PC to do illegal stuff, like using the black market and selling stuff illegally, like selling guns illegally and other things. Sure, that's a lot more worse than this, but the whole point of it is that you're misusing the item that you bought for personal gain, and that's what I'm trying to hit at. And another reason is that they're trying to attack piracy. I mean, that's a big thing, and I do agree with that. Don't pirate games. If you are modifying your console so you can get games for free and not have to pay games and just getting through that loophole, then you are in the wrong. And I do believe that your console should be broken. If you are out here pirating games so you don't have to pay for them and you're hacking to getting them in, then you should have your console broken. I'm sorry. Because you are cheating the system. You're not playing by the rules. You're just deliberately doing something illegal. I'm sorry, but you should face the consequences. But I do think that Nintendo needs to specify more on that. Just so it doesn't come off. Because, come off as too aggressive, which it already does, but to help dumb it down, because right now people are assuming, if you do anything that they don't like, they're shutting down your console, which they've explicitly said is not happening. But what they're explaining is not 100% what it says within their policy. Their policy is so black and white, formal, it doesn't relay the emotions they're trying to provide. But Nintendo has even went out and said that policies have gotten a lot more strict because of the recent events within the past year or so. Not just from Nintendo having some data leak issues, but from Game Freak. And Game Freak does involve themselves in this. And do you guys remember when I was speaking about this? I even mentioned it last video. When the big Centro leak or whatever, not Centro leaks, but Centro leaks went over it. But we went over it with what Centro leak posted about the whole leak that happened last year, and they got a hold of data from just for Legends ZA and even Gen 10. And they made a Discord account and was showing it off, and it was actually all real, but they also had access to employee files. And now Nintendo is getting the information from Discord, and Discord's going to provide it to them, and then they're going to go after this person, which I do hope. I hope that they smite this guy. I hope they just demolish this guy and send him to prison, because it's different when you're leaking, future games, which you shouldn't do. Don't be doing that. Like leaking and explicitly hacking in to steal information. That's different, and that's what he did. But when you involve Nintendo employees, that's where I'm going to put my foot down. I'm sorry, but you're not going to sit here and justify piracy when you have the information of Nintendo employees. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. Now we don't know entirely if anything was done with these files. We don't even know if he even showed them off. But the simple fact that he has access to that kind of pisses me off. Who are you? And because of that, Nintendo's had enough. I told you guys. Fuck around and find out. And that's what happened. That is exactly what happened. You guys chose, not you guys specifically watching the video, unless you're one of these people that are hacking and getting people's information that you shouldn't. But you found out. You made big bad Nintendo angry, which Nintendo already has a short fuse. They're very, Iron Fist like. They're already very strict and sometimes hateful, especially with games. That they don't find a part of their actual line of official games just on the internet. For example, Project Pokemon from Roblox. That was childhood for me. And they smited that thing. And it had a pretty big following. I'm like, if you remember Project Pokemon, let me know down below, because that was peak. But it got shut down, and that really sucks. So now you're already taking a short-fused company and making them even angrier. I'm sorry, but even if you disagree with the angle they're going at here, you almost can't be angry fully, because they're doing something out of reactionary cause, because they're being reactionary because their own employees were threatened. And I know that this is not the explicit reason, but it's one of many reasons that they're doing this. So, honestly, if you guys don't want Nintendo to start taking your owners' rights, then maybe you should start being respectful. I'm sorry. and there's nothing to do with being authoritative, but they told you, don't be pirating the game. And that's the main reason why they're doing this, is piracy. Don't be pirating the game. Don't be stealing files. Don't be leaking shit you shouldn't be leaking by stealing. Just don't do it. They're basic common courtesy things. And there's a lot of people angry because it's a big, bad company telling you what to do. Get over yourself. Grow up. I mean, really, I'm not trying to gaslight into like, well, maybe you should be angry, but really, no, you don't need to. I'm telling you straight. There's nothing wrong with being angry with their policy, but to boycott Nintendo's childish. To say that every reason why they're doing this is childish is wrong. I'm saying that they're doing this because of multiple reasons that are valid. From piracy to I almost said patient files, sorry. The med school kind of came out there. From just from employee files to game files, it's all one big pot, one big old witch's cauldron that these hackers and these thieves are just boiling into a witch's brew right now. And it has gotten to the point to where now that pot's being pushed over by Nintendo, and they're saying, you know what, you've pushed me to this point, and I'm going to start taking stuff. I'm going to start breaking things. I'm going to start taking stuff away from you guys until we see a better, just a better environment from the community. And they've even preluded. Now they haven't outright said it, but they've even preluded that if things do improve, then maybe some stuff will be relieved. But again, that's not even been outright proven yet. There's been lots of sources saying as such, including even Central Leaks. So, really, I didn't really want to get into it too much and watch a little bit more of this video here. We're not going to watch the entire thing, just because I'm not trying to, just completely, expose his, just expose the entire video just for you guys to watch and, re-upload here, I'm just really reacting to how he's taking it and what he believes and comparing to my own. I'm someone that believes a lot in fairness and being respectful of all entities. Again, I get the outrage, like I said, but I also don't get some of it as well. I'm split in half because not all of me agrees with all this. There is a half of me that disagrees with how Nintendo's handling this policy, but other half of me saying, well, I do agree because you guys need to be respectful and do as Nintendo says because it's their console. Sure, you may have bought it, but you still have to follow laws. You still have to follow, gamer etiquette and buyer's etiquette. I mean, if you guys ever took a business class, which I had to in nursing school, it wasn't mandatory, but I took one anyways because of healthcare business. But they even taught us what buyer's etiquette is and how it affects all markets, including the medical field. Instead of the medical field, we're going to look at the gaming. The gaming scape, I guess you could say, because it's so wide and various. And it is a very ruthless hellscape, the gaming scape is. And I think that just doesn't help the case here. But, we're going to watch a little bit more of this, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute.
$80 games. Okay, maybe you don't wait for them to go on sale. Vote with your wallet. Bro, the console can be bricked at their discretion is insanity. And then it's oh, well, we're going to take away your right to sue. So if you do want to sue them, you can't bundle up with other people and sue the company. You have to go mano a mano with Nintendo Legal yourself, which you might as well, okay, just take a fucking sledgehammer to your balls at this point. That's how effective it is. Now, I'm sure there's going to be the defense, but Muda, I'm not going to hack my system.
With Rocco and Roxy Health Supplements, she'll get unparalleled support for her health and wellness.
Now we're getting these ads. I'm definitely going to get some YouTube Premium so we don't got to deal with this.
And then Nintendo won't do anything to me. This actually comes down to a real fundamental answer. Should a company be allowed to destroy the product that you buy?
That's actually a good argument. Sure. Should they? No. Will they? Yes. But at the same time, should they? especially if you're abusing and cheating your ways to their products, honestly, you have an argument for both. Sure, as a buyer, we have buyer's rights. We bought this console. And may I ask, just because you bought the license, no, like, people are like, well, because you just bought the license to own it. No, you own the console. They have explicitly said that if you buy the console, you physically own it. But you may lose the license to use it if you're found abusing and cheating and modifying, which is understandable. Again, Mudahar's not relaying all of these, I would like to say, incel attitudes, because he's not, because he's a lot more calm-minded than that. He's being a lot more rational and you know, rightfully pissed. But my argument is this. Should we, as buyers, take for granted what we've been given? I'm sorry, but because you're a buyer does not mean that you get buyer's rights to, like, abuse. Like, sorry, no, you don't. I don't agree with that. And if you find that, you know, abusive and restrictive, I'm sorry. But I simply just don't care. Because I do believe that there is a level of etiquette that you as the player needs to uphold. And if not doing piracy is what you have to uphold, then freaking do it. Stop being an incel. Stop being a Mr. Fedora-wearing freak saying, well, I'm going to do it anyways out of spite because screw Nintendo. No, bro, grow up. Grow up. Really. I mean, it's that kind of attitude that I see on Twitter and stuff, which, again, I understand. Twitter is a cesspool in general. But it's still the fact that these people exist that piss me off. Grow up. Okay? Be mad at Nintendo because you can't sue them, which I agree with Mudahar. I mean, you might as well just bash your nuts in with a sledgehammer. Because it's going to get shit done quicker than if you actually sue Nintendo. I do agree. Not being able to sue Nintendo is asinine. Nintendo, what are you doing? You can't do that. I'm defending your whole entire action against piracy, but preventing people from suing you is crazy. That's insane. Nintendo, you gotta not do that. And that's my entire thoughts with that. Like, Jesus.
Because think about it, right? Let's say that the mere act of firing up a Nintendo Switch meant that you connect to Nintendo online services. Now, let's say that you run custom firmware on your Switch, and I guess maybe you're interacting with Nintendo online services, whatever, but you're not using it to pirate video games. Maybe you want to run, like, emulators on your brand new Switch 2 when it's hackable, if it's hackable. And you want to run other things. I'm sure people will say, but what about the pirates, Muda? What about the people hacking in video games? Yeah, they're terrible people, and you can just remove them from accessing the network as a whole, right? Like, much in the way the Xbox 360 would do it, or the PlayStation 3, if you were running a hack, if you were, blatantly being a douchebag, Sony and Microsoft would just remove you from their networks. They would console ban you, but you could still actually use your console to play video games, even though you lost the online functionality. If they were pretty upfront about that, maybe. But the fact that they can say they can brick your system in whole, not just in part, in whole is also mentioned, right? Which means the entire system becomes unusable. That is a question I think people need to ask, okay? Now, I don't think EULAs like this should be entirely legal. To be fair, I want to see what an actual court would say if this was tested. But it kind of reminds me, like, should a company be allowed to just take away your game, to take away your system that you paid money for, okay? A while back, all right, actually not even really a long time ago, a car manufacturer by the name of BMW, I'm sure you watching have probably heard of it.
No, I've heard of
They
this.
had a subscription service for you to pay a subscription fee to use the actual heated seats in your car.
I remember that.
Now, you might be like, wow, that's stupid. Okay, the heated seats exist. Why do I have to pay a subscription service fee to use heated seats? Now, let's say that there was a BMW hack, right? You could just put it onto a flash drive, stick it into your car, and get access to all of the stuff that you've already paid for without needing BMW's dogshit DRM and blocking. Now, let's say BMW detected that you did that, right? And they were like, all right, well, let's just brick this dude's car. Not just deny you from accessing BMW servers for software updates in the future or downloading map updates. No, just straight brick your car.
Imagine you're like driving down the car, or like driving down the road with the car. Sorry, I can't even talk. And driving down, and all of a sudden your damn radiator blows, Just everything just starts breaking. Like your doors start falling off. The bolts just unscrew themselves. That would be some shit. Kind of like one of those old Looney Tune cartoons where it's just like the car just falls into multiple parts that it was made with, and you're just sitting there in like an empty cab with nothing around it, just the skeleton of the car. That would be hilarious. But I do agree that that's kind of dumb. And yeah, again, like I get the whole where he's gone from with, you illegally bought it. And when they say by their discretion, they're not just going to randomly do it. Like, again, they have explicitly said they're only going to do these things through three or to four ways of reporting. Like, they're not just going to randomly just do a inspection. Like, oh, hello, guys, it's boot camp. We're going to inspect your beds. No, they're not going to do that. They've explicitly said they're not going to do that. But I do think this is a good way to stop piracy, because even if they made their rules strict without breaking the console, people are still going to pirate the games. I mean, for example, look at the Nintendo 3DS. People have found a way to access the Nintendo eShop and hack it in even after the internet was cut, which I'm still trying to boggle my mind around. Now, I do know that it's a very strenuous process and it's not easy to do. I do know that there's some software companies that are just doing that for you. And, before that, I mean, for example, my cousin, he had a Nintendo 3DS, like me. We both had the 3DS XL. And he had his hacked and modified so he can get the Pokemon Red. I think it was Fire Red and Leaf Green. I'm pretty sure. I just know that it was one of the older Pokemon games. Oh, and he also got Crystal. He did this like 2 years ago when obviously the shop was down. Well, it was going down. You couldn't get it anymore, and he got his Nintendo's 3DS modified. To get that, and I think that's not necessarily like as bad. But it is considered piracy. I mean, what he did was considered piracy. He stole from Nintendo. Now, again, I will make the argument, Nintendo, we wouldn't want to like pirate these games if you gave us them on the Switch. I mean, we've been begging for the old Nintendo DS and Game Boy games, especially Pokemon. And I'm not kidding. If I'm able to buy Pokemon Emerald on my Switch, you damn better know I'm going to be downloading that sucker on the Switch immediately. I'm going to download all of it. It also doesn't help that if you are a Nintendo subscriber like I am, like the old console apps that you get on like the Switch, like the Game Boy Advance, SNES. I think at the Atari, not Atari, sorry, the Nintendo 64. Those apps where you can play all the old games. On the Advance Game Boy, they gave us 2 Mystery Dungeon games. Well, no, I think we got 2 Mystery Dungeon games and the Pokemon Stadium games. Like they're just teasing us at that point. They're just teasing us, bro. Like, just give us Emerald, give us Ruby Sapphire, give us Fire Red Leaf Green. I'm just saying is that if they did that, I think lots of people would be more willing to pirate. So it's like I even understand from a consumer standpoint, and I do agree mostly that we are the buyers. We should have full access to our console, and I do believe that Nintendo should most likely go down the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 route to where you're just cut off entirely from the internet and you just don't have use of that subscription. I do agree with that. But people have found ways to still pirate games even with not connected to the internet. That's the issue. How else are they going to do it? I mean, ban their account? Well, guess what? They can make another account. Well, what if they get IP banned? It could be a little bit expensive, but you can change your IP. Like, you can do things to get around it. People find ways to get around IP bans all the time. You can do that. So now Nintendo's had enough. Because, truthfully, Nintendo has had some of the most pirated games ever. Now, admittedly, Nintendo hasn't been as, gracious with giving us our older games, as they should. Not as they should, but, like, they should be giving us older games. I'm just saying that, they need to. And they're not. And because of that, people are starting to pirate and expand their reaches to a greater horizon. That means them playing older games. And I don't agree with using emulators on a Nintendo Switch, but I get why you would do it, especially if the game that you want is not on there and you don't have access to like an older console. I am a buyer from DK Oldies, but I try using discounts and shit because let me tell you, they are abhorrently expensive. Abhorrently expensive. But not everyone has that kind of money to spend, $500 to get, a very old console that's in decent condition at best. That works fine, but should be a lot more polished than it came out to be, My ideology is this. I'm going to leave it at that. If you are angry because a big bad company is telling you what to do, grow up. Just grow up. Don't even come at me. Just grow the fuck up. Sorry to say it. But if you're mad because you feel that your buyer's rights have been violated and that this is too aggressive, you're valid. But I personally believe that we have taken for granted our rights to buy these consoles to where we're now abusing the right to pirate because we have the technology to do it. I mean, we're doing a lot of swashbuckling right now, and we need to stop. So, I'm not necessarily like saying I 100% agree with it, but I get why they're doing it, and it's because people are not respectful of others. They're not respectful of the company. They're not respectful of the game they're playing, and they're not respectful of themselves because they don't want to spend the money or spend the time to get those games. And I get it. Some people are like, but why do I gotta spend that money? Well, if you don't want to spend the money on the game, then don't get the goddamn console. If you don't want to spend money on the game, then don't get the damn console. Simple as that. Sorry if you don't like that, but that's just how it's going to be. Sorry. Nothing's handed out to you freely. I mean, I'm paying for my games full price. So should you. I'm doing it because I want to. Because I want to play the games. There is no choice in the matter. You do it, or you don't get the console. That's just how I see it. Kind of like a dad vibe going on here. Like, hey, if you want it, you gotta pay it. Now, do I agree with the price increases? No. I will side on all of you on this one. The price increases are ridiculous. Nintendo, you need to chill. Nintendo also needs to chill on the whole entire lawsuit thing. You guys need to get rid of that. That's just abusive. I agree with the breaking of the consoles through certain scenarios. From pirating and illegally modding your Switch and hacking. Like, if you're doing those three things, or either one of those three things, then I do believe it should be bricked. But they are not explicitly saying they're just going to randomly just chime into your usage and just shut it off. They're not going to shut your console off whenever the hell they want. They're not. They've explicitly said this. And that they're only going to do it after a detailed investigation, which you will not know about, which I think is shitty, but they're going to investigate you when you don't know, and then one day it will come on like, oh, I can't use my modded or hacked Switch because I got caught. To be honest, that's just how it kind of should be. I mean, I'm sorry, but you shouldn't have access to that Switch because you'll find a way through it. Sorry. Because, again, even though I like the Xbox 360 route, it's not foolproof. And this is making it foolproof. So, as a person, as a gamer, I am torn. I'm very torn. Because I do love Nintendo, but I am against with some of the things that they're pushing, but I am for some things that they, are not, wanting to be a part of their community and within their game. So, let me know down below. We're not going to finish the video here because it's just more so reiterating like what he believes and just more so comparing it. And again, go support this guy. Again, like I said, I don't think he needs me to tell you that just because he's such a big YouTuber, but he is a really big inspiration even for my channel just because I try to be as calm and cool-headed about all this. And he did a great job with this video. I mean, I'm not trying to glaze him. I'm just saying, like, he did a really great job staying calm. He wasn't being abhorrently angry. He wasn't being too in your face. He was being the appropriate amount of in awe, anger, and confused. And I'm experiencing all three of those. Because even though I'm defending the Nintendo Switch as itself having the ability to be bricked, I don't agree with the other things. from, like I said, the lawsuit and just Nintendo just trying to hold its hand over you with prices. I do agree that those two things are, bad. But I have to agree with the bricking to an extent. Because I'm quite tired of it too. Because I'm tired of hopping on to Mario Kart and there be a hacker within our lobby. Or just really any online game where someone's hacking. Especially on like Pokemon. It's not as bad, but I've had people hack in Pokemon during like the competitive scene, and it is annoying. I mean, it's just like unlikely odds. I mean, hell, I don't know how, and obviously this is just hearsay from me because I have no proof of it, and I'm sorry, but next time I'll try. But someone had gotten themselves a shiny Koraidon, and I've not seen the account since. It may have been banned. I have no clue. But I don't know how it was even detected by the Nintendo Online, like on the Nintendo Online realm. And I was in an online, like the Union Circle thing, and we were just doing stuff to get all the treats from the Blueberry Academy. I was trying to think of the terrarium, and just trying to just get all of our the BBQ points, and this guy had a shiny Koraidon he was riding on. He wasn't in it very long. I mean, I wasn't battling him. I don't know if he would be able to battle with it. I don't know. I have no clue. But just in that, it's like the online, realm. So I have no clue. If I do see someone else use a shiny one of those, I will record it. Because I thought you couldn't do that. Like, I genuinely thought that, like, the system would have detected if it was a unusable shiny and boot you. But obviously it didn't. So, I look forward to doing some more Union Circle stuff, which I plan to. And I will record it. So, again, as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and favorite. Hit that bell button just so you can stay in tune when I post. I know this was a longer video, but I really wanted to go over all of it because we really needed to crack down into Nintendo and what I believe is going on and how I see it all. Again, I have very strict and forward views. I'm understanding of it. But I said, like as I've said already, I see both sides. That just all it comes down to is I see both sides and I sympathize with both sides. I am torn between both. Because from taking business classes and from understanding what that's like, I understand where they're coming from as a business. Especially with a recent hack that they had to deal with involving just their employee files being compromised, or potentially compromised, I guess. That's just huge because then they can't stop being sued, because their own employees cannot stop from suing them if their entire files have been compromised. So I just feel upset that even with the hacking that's come upon the community, that it had to involve possibly innocent people just working day to day, like they were just the working class, and they're being involved with just the hacker and just this entire lawsuit, and now all this that Nintendo's doing. It's just all one big just toilet bowl, and it's just awful. So as always, be a chomp above the rest. I appreciate you guys for watching. I definitely appreciate the recent support you guys have just been flooding me with. You guys have been amazing. Let me know, again, down below what you think of everything. I want to know your actual opinions. Do you agree with me? Am I missing something? Am I just not grasping something? Or am I hitting something on right on the head? Or do you 100% agree with Mudahar? Which I wouldn't blame you if you did. But I would just love to hear you. So, have a good evening. I hope to see you guys later. Bye.